Hey, we are joined right now by Governor Greg Abbott live from Austin. Governor, we want to thank you for your time. We're going to talk about the SNAP program in just a minute, but first we want to talk about perhaps the most discussed bill coming out of session this year, and that is the school voucher program. And the top question that we're getting from our audience is, why was the issue not put forth as a referendum that they could have voted on?
So for one, there are other states that do referendums. The state of Texas doesn't have that as part of our legislative process, but it's states like California, they're governed by initiative and referendum, and it's total chaos out there. We in Texas, we elect representatives to go listen to their constituents and to cast votes based upon their districts. And that's exactly what happened in the state of Texas. We know, frankly, that school choice is supported by every demographic group, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, supported by urban, suburban, and rural areas. And so we know this widely supported in the state of Texas. And so these lawmakers that voted in favor of it truly voted what is in the best interest in being sought after by their constituents.
You're speaking of those constituents and those demographic groups. What safeguards have been put into place to make sure that the families who want and need the school voucher system the most don't actually get priced out of the process? As you know, families in other states saw tuition increases when the voucher system came about where they live.
First, know that there's a prioritization based upon different criteria. One is students with special needs and then low-income families. And so we will maintain those prioritizations. With regard to the cost, if you would, of the school program, what we have found in Texas is this, and that is the $10,000 that's being provided is far more than either the median or the average cost of a private school across the state. And a lot of those schools that exist are so high in price that they skew those numbers. So we know there are a plentiful number of schools, especially there in the greater Houston area, that would be available for families to be able to choose from if they want to choose a school different than their child is currently attending.
All right, and I did want to ask you about those SNAP benefits. After we had an investigation into stolen SNAP benefits nationwide, and Congressman Al Green, as you know, is filing legislation tomorrow to reinstate federal funding to replace stolen benefits. And as you heard, he's hoping that you will support that legislation. Is that something that you would commit to help families who rely on those resources?
So obviously I haven't seen the legislation, but what I can tell you is this. First of all, if there are people out there stealing those benefits, that's a crime. And that crime needs to be prosecuted, and we need to eliminate the theft of those benefits. And then the second thing is, obviously, we want to ensure that the people for whom those benefits were intended actually receive those benefits.
But in principle, would you restore, would you approve, or would you support those federal funds being replenished that would help those victims?
No, I got to tell you, I'd have to look at it. I don't even comment on state legislation without taking a look at it. And I've seen nothing about this so far, but more than happy to take a look at it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Today, you signed the Texas DOGE bill into law. How does the Texas version get implemented, and what lessons did you learn from the federal rollout?
So Texas had already begun working on regulatory reform and our own form of DOGE even before Elon Musk and people he worked with began reforming the federal government. But what they did, they kind of crystallized the way to attack this issue. First, I'll tell you this, and that is Texas has been ranked the #1 state for doing business for 20 years in a row. That said, we always need to find ways to make it easier to do business, and also easier for families in Houston and elsewhere to be able to live. And so what this program is going to do, it provides the resources and the tools and the strategies to make sure that we are cutting through the regulatory environment that drives up the cost of doing business, drives up the cost of living in a community like in Houston, and will make it far easier for constituents in Houston and across the state to be able to deal with their state government.
Yes, yeah, and so in that plan, as you mentioned, resources will be relocated across the state, and taking into account those specific needs of the different regions and municipalities. Can you tell us how would the Houston area benefit specifically?
Well, sure. There's all different kinds of state-based programs. Take Health and Human Services for one. Take the Texas Education Agency for another. Those are areas where we need to find regulations that may be slowing down the process or driving up the cost or making it too complex to deal with it, so that government will run both more efficiently and less costly.
All right, Governor, before we let you go, this is one of the other biggest questions that our audience wanted to know. Will you be running for President of the United States in 2028?
It's not on my slate card right now. I'm running for re-election as governor of the great state of Texas, period.
Okay, we'll get that one on record, and we'll see what happens in 2028. All right, sir. Governor Greg Abbott, live from Austin, sir. Thank you so much for your time.